somebody sent me this question, a bit of a dilemma, and said, you could do a video on it because other people might benefit from it too. And I bet there will be people out there who are dealing with something similar. So the story she gave me is, I'm going through a divorce and I've got a 5-year-old son, and what I'm noticing from him is he's getting really nervous when it's bedtime, it's time for me to leave, or if I'm not visible. So if I'm upstairs, he's downstairs, or the other way around, that kind of stuff. And I'm a bit worried that my ex-partner might be saying something negative about I'm going to leave, it might be that. And what I'm trying to do is just comfort him and reassure him. And I don't know what else to do. So, a couple of things on this. We're going to cover some stuff that might be helpful for the child, but also for you. So, first thing to say is you're already doing the right things. Comforting and reassuring, absolutely. All we're going to do is add some stuff on top of that, which might make it even more effective. So, people would say that sounds like separation anxiety. But that's not a good enough explanation, because why is the separation scary to the child at this point? He's 5, he might be able to verbalise some of this, but adults find it hard to work out why they're anxious sometimes. So we can give him a few guesses that might help. So if I was guessing, I'd want to ask him something, all right, so when I leave or when you can't see me, what is it that makes you nervous? What are you worried is going to happen? Are you worried that I'm going to have left? I'm just going to have gone? Are you worried that something bad will have happened to me? Sometimes there's a kind of third option, which is kids have this sense of safety with their family environment, and when some of that is rocked or changed, it can leave them with this feeling of being very alone, just very aware of the fact that, well, I thought that was true, now it's not, now anything could happen. So there's just this sense of being alone. So it might even just be that, to say, sometimes people get really worried about just this feeling like they're suddenly on their own. Is it any of that? The reason that's important is because that might help you normalise his worries and reassure the right thing. So if you can't take that away from him, what are you going to do? Tell him, oh, I'm never going to die? That's not going to do anything. Even if you say, I'm not going anywhere, if he's worried about you leaving, well, he thought the two of you would be together forever as well. So it's hard to convince him. So lean on emotional reassurance rather than logical reassurance. I can't convince you all of this is never going to happen, but what I can do is make you feel like the way you're feeling is okay and it's normal. And the way that we might do that is give you a hug, tell you that it's okay to be worried, and maybe even give a couple of examples of where we might have felt some of that before. So if he says, yeah, I just feel really scared, like I'm totally on my own, you might be able to say, yeah, sometimes when I'm trying to go to bed on my own and there's nobody in the room with me, I get this real sort of sense of maybe like loneliness and sadness. I think that's kind of normal, and it is a bit scary, isn't it? And all you're really doing is making that normal for him. Or if he's worried about you leaving, again, you might be able to give examples of when you felt that way, or worried about something happening to you, you might be able to tell him times you've felt that way too. Just normalise him. That's job number 1. That's it really. And it will probably last a while, this phase of feeling anxious. And it's okay. You'll probably get people saying, oh no, don't let him, break out of his routine. You're making a rod for your own back. I don't think that's true. You can always undo those things later. So if you let him stay up a bit later, for example, just so he has a little bit more reassuring time sat next to you before he goes to bed, if that works for a little while, you can always bring back the bedtime later. Right now, it's just helping him feel convinced that you are there, and that when you're not visible, you're still there. That's useful. Finally, for you. It might sound like a silly question, but what is it that really bothers you about this? Because my guess is there's some element of guilt to it. So when people get separated or divorced, sometimes when they see these effects on their children, they think, oh no, I'm doing this to my child. And the fact that he's distressed is so overwhelmingly difficult for me because of that, because I feel guilty about it. And what I'd really want to say to you about that is, you're not doing this to him. You have made a decision that is right for you, probably right for your family, probably part of the decision-making process. It is having an effect on him, but that's not your fault. You've still made the right decision if that's what you needed to do. The fact that it's having an effect on him is just part of normal, everyday stuff. That is difficult to see, but it's not your fault.